Good afternoon, everybody, and I hope that you're all safe and well and have had a nice and safe, enjoyable weekend. It's great to be back here with the regular Monday midday webinars, of which we will have 4, which will take us to the end of term 2. And of course, we will continue these webinars when we return after our spring break. But it's good to be back, and obviously this one is discussing and revisiting really the GEMS Founders School vision of grow, flourish and succeed. And I will come to that very shortly about what I want to discuss. This webinar today will be slightly shorter than the other ones. It's more of a think piece really for parents to go away and start thinking a little bit about what I'm going to say and reflecting upon our vision statements. As always, these sessions are recorded. They do get posted to YouTube and to our social media platforms. So please do rewatch this or watch it for the first time if you're not able to make it in attendance today. And as always, please note that the question and answer box is now open. So if you do have any questions that you would like answering or comments, as always, are appreciated. I will certainly look at those throughout and at the end of the webinar to answer anything that is relevant to the general community or personally if it is a private message. So just looking ahead as well for the upcoming weeks, like I said, today is about the GEMS Founders School vision. Next week, the webinar will focus on understanding PASS and GL progress tests. So something very important as part of our school life, the PASS, which is the Pupil Attitude to Self and School survey, which all students take across the school. And that we'll be talking about that next week and what it is and what it means and what we do with the information we get from that. And also the GL progress test in English, Maths and Science, which will be coming up at the end of this year, of course, for students across the school. And then the following week, we will be joined by some of our student leadership team, who will be talking to you in a lot more detail about the opportunities that we have at GEMS Founders School for student leaders and what each of our students does in their particular roles, and also to give parents a wider understanding of perhaps some of the impact that we've seen through our student leadership teams over the past few years. And then finally, as we edge towards spring break, I wanted to revisit with parents the inspection reports. Now they've been issued obviously quite some time ago, but I think it's very important that we revisit those with our parent community, especially in light of any potential upcoming inspections that we will have this academic year. And it's very important to measure where we have come from the last time we had a school inspection to where we are now, and I think there's a lot of importance in sharing that, like I said, with you as parents, just as a reminder, but also as a process in which we can explain all of the work that we've done, particularly towards our key recommendations from both the Dubai Schools Inspection Bureau and the British Schools Overseas inspection that we had quite some time ago now. But today, let's talk about the GEMS Founders School vision. So these 3 words, these 3 very important words that I always start these webinars with, grow, flourish, succeed, really started from day one, before day one, when the school was open. And I know there was a lot of consultation and a lot of parental, from students, stakeholder involvement in coming up with these 3 really crucial words. Very simple words, but they do mean a lot to our school community, and of course reflect the name of our school, GFS. When I first joined the school, I was particularly intrigued as to what these 3 words meant to key leaders in the school, what they meant to parents, what they mean to students, what they mean to our school community. And certainly over the past 5.5 years, I've learned a lot about what these words mean to me as the head of secondary, and as a member of our school community. And we've reached a point in our school development where we are looking at exactly how the vision and the mission, which I'll also talk a little bit about today, perhaps can look like as we move into the next 5 years of our school development. Because it's important to do that. It's important for us to reflect and pause for thought for a second, because essentially everything we do needs to align to these very, very important words. And we have currently been doing a lot of work, particularly across the senior leadership team and the extended leadership team, with a gentleman called Mr. Matthew Savage, who is a data expert. And one of the first questions he posed to us as a school is, how do your practices, how do your policies, how do your day-to-day running of the curriculum, of assessment, of everything you do, how does it all align to your vision? And like I said, I always try to connect at the start of my webinars how, in general, these three words do connect to different elements of what I've just said. But more importantly, what do these words mean to the wider audience? So what we've been doing is reflecting a lot, and we've been breaking this down into what we've called some focus strands. Now, these were not and have not been published with parents, but I wanted to explain behind the scenes what goes on day to day here at Founders in terms of what we call focus strands and how they're aligned to our vision. So for the first part of term 2, we broke our vision, if you like, and the next steps for our school to refocus on some very, very basic things, one of which is the vision itself, hence why we're talking about this today. But also we looked at some of the basics, and one of them was looking at school uniform, and not just looking at school uniform to make sure students wear the correct school uniform, but actually thinking about what that does mean to students and how does that fit in to their day-to-day thoughts about grow, flourishing and succeeding. We also looked and revisited what does teaching or great teaching look like at Founders, and again, how does a teacher at this school, how do they grow, how do they flourish, how do they succeed? So we started to look at that over the past 5 weeks of the first part of this term. And this term, we are looking at our classroom routines, both at the start of lesson, during lessons and at the end of lessons. And we're also looking at what great learning looks like, obviously in direct alignment with high performance learning, the vehicle that we're using, that we believe will help us on our journey towards outstanding. And also looking at the mission statement as well. So all of these things are broken into smaller sort of bite-sized pieces of information for our community. And today's webinar really is to try to get as much information from you as well through the chat function. So please do at this stage, if you can, and if you're willing to do so, please just post a few comments or perhaps even a question, but certainly some comments about what GFS means to you as a parent. What does it mean for you as a parent to be able to be in a school community that allows parents to grow, allows parents to flourish, and allows parents to succeed? Because I think that's really important. I think it's really important that we try to get our parents more involved in the developments of our curriculum, listening to parents about assessment processes and policies and practices, and about involving parents in much wider discussions about key aspects of the school vision. So please, if you're able to, just post a few comments about that or any questions that you may have. But let me break down a little bit about what I've just said in terms of the focus strands and how the work we're doing right now is aligned to our vision and what we hope to achieve from it. So we looked at teaching over the past 5 weeks, or the 5 weeks, sorry, at the start of this new term. And we asked our teachers to reflect upon why they're in this profession. Why did you choose to become a teacher? And to do some sort of deep reflection on how their philosophy of education, how their philosophy of teaching, again, aligns to what we're trying to accomplish as a school, because that's really important, especially when we have teachers from such diverse backgrounds, such diverse range of experiences, which is truly amazing. But actually, when you're all working together in the same building, we must, despite all of the differences that we have a commonality, which must be that opportunity for our teachers to grow, to flourish, and to succeed in everything that they do. Now, that could mean developing experience to teach IGCSE lessons or A-level lessons, or developing the experience to teach different aspects of our curriculum, or giving them opportunities to grow, flourish, and be successful through the professional development opportunities that we offer and that are required. It might be giving them opportunities to grow, flourish, and succeed into different areas of school leadership. So these are things that we asked our teachers to consider, and what it actually means to them. And overwhelmingly, when I've been speaking to teachers across the school, perhaps more so the teachers that have been with us for 5-6 years, who saw this school from the very beginning, obviously the first thing that we talked about was the actual growth, not just the growth in them as teachers, the actual growth of the school, which is quite amazing what we've actually accomplished and will continue to accomplish. And thinking of when I first joined, in terms of that word grow or growth, how the secondary school in particular, for me, has evolved and developed and grown. And when I talk about that, I mean, all the way from those very small classes in year 8 when I first joined, to now having a 14 form entry stage 3, so 14 classes in each of year 7, 8, and 9, and then in the next year building and growing the 6th form, so year 12 and 13, to what it is today. And then obviously in recent times, the growth of the school site, the campus, if you like, across 2 buildings. It's been incredible. But what comes with that growth, of course, are challenges that we've acknowledged, that we're on a day-to-day basis working hard to solve and make things better. But what comes also are the opportunities for our students within the curriculum to be able to flourish in more things that they enjoy. So, for example, increasing the curriculum breadth with food technology, with design technology, with drama, with performing arts, with Spanish. Looking next year when we're integrating all of our new BTECs in IT and hospitality and engineering and in business. These things are very much important in terms of giving opportunities to truly flourish in things they enjoy, things they have said they want across our curriculum. And ultimately, even though I always say we don't define success by exam results, succeed in those particular subjects. But we've also been talking to students a lot about, especially in the Meet the Head focus groups each week, what does success mean to you? And do we, as a school, give you opportunities to succeed every single day? Because sometimes I think we often refer to success as a product, as an outcome of maybe a term of work or a scheme of work or a school year. We think of success as being sort of macro level, but actually when we break it down in terms of our vision, it's our responsibility to make sure that our teachers, our staff, give every single student in this building opportunities to succeed in something every day. Now that might be in their favourite subject, it might be in their other subjects, it might be at break time, it might be before school, it could be anything. We can define success in so many different ways. So like I said, our teachers have been reflecting on this, our students have been reflecting upon it, and I also would like our parents to reflect upon this. This half term, like I said, we're really shifting the focus to high performance learning, and we've been on an incredible journey as we move towards obtaining world-class status as a school, with reference to HPL and all of the great things that we do around that. But again, what does HPL, what does great learning look like? And is the learning environment, particularly in the classroom routines and all of those things that I've just mentioned, how does that all fit into giving students opportunities to grow, to flourish and succeed, essentially? So looking at the differences and the comparisons between teaching, the input, if you like, and learning the output on a very rigorous day-to-day monitoring system. And over the past 2 weeks, we've really been getting into lessons, looking at how we are using our data, the wealth of data that we've got across the school, again with the data expert, Mr. Matthew Savage. How are we using all of this data to make sure that we really and truly understand our children? Because that is the key to allowing students to grow, to flourish and succeed. It's looking at the trends we see, the patterns we see, it's the flags that are raised so that we can dig deeper under the surface to really understand our school community in a lot more detail. It's about involving our student leadership teams to go away and empower them with the ability to then go and speak to the rest of the student community about what this means to them as well. So there's a lot of powerful work that has been doing, and we will continue to do this as we consider again what the next 5 years for this school actually looks like in terms of vision and mission. Last week, just so I can bring this to your attention, again with Matthew Savage, we had 11 different groups represented by students who presented their ideas to the senior leadership team, but also to Matthew Savage, about the things that they consider to be very important to this school community. Now we need to do a lot more work on this so that we represent the whole school community in terms of things that they want to challenge. They want to challenge us on, whether it's aspects of the curriculum, whether it's aspects of assessment and how we're assessing children, or whether it's actually challenging and raising things at a much higher level as well, with our examination boards and with stakeholders at, like I said, at a higher level, because again that will help formulate the next 5 years for this school, and those key words that we will use to describe, essentially to define, if you like, who our school is and what we stand for. And certainly through over the past 4.5, 5 years, I've been truly impressed with how students have challenged us and continue to challenge us in everything that we do, because ultimately that's the sign of any great school, that students are given that freedom and that those forums to have their voice and share their voice in a constructive, meaningful way. So when we revisit all of this, I guess to sum up in this very short webinar, we are at a very crucial stage of our development, a stage at which we will be asking parents to feedback, to share with us across the whole school what their thoughts are with regards to many of the things I've talked about today. We do obviously have lots of information from parent surveys, but the next piece of the jigsaw puzzle is to look specifically at vision and mission. So as of now, we don't have anything currently in the chat, but please, parents who have joined us today, if you would be willing to perhaps just put a few words, a few comments about what I've said and about what it means to you. What does our school community mean to you when it comes to vision and direction of our school? And it would be lovely to perhaps share some of those either during this webinar if we have any comments, but if not, you may feedback to me obviously in different ways, whether that's a telephone call or a Zoom or a Teams call, and we can have a much more deeper, meaningful conversation about that. So I hope that's, I suppose, helped us all pause again for reflection, for thought, and it will link very nicely into many of the things I'll talk about in my upcoming webinars this half term, particularly with assessment and inspections and student leadership as well. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. As always, please do contact me if you want any more information about anything what I've said today. And most importantly, I hope you and your families remain to be safe and healthy. Thank you, everybody.